What's up, YouTubers? It's Midwest Phil again. I know I haven't made a video for a long time, but I had bought myself a boat, a 2024 Tracker B16 Super Guide, which I'll show you here. And you're going to notice that it's got a Minn Kota Power Drive trolling motor on the bow. That's actually an iPilot, and it was an upgrade to this particular boat. The boat comes with just a regular power drive. But anyway, I got it used. I got it from an auto dealership for a pretty good price, and I wanted to add this fish finder on the front here, this Garmin graph. It had one on the console back here, but when I'm trolling along, I like to use a graph in the front so I'll know how deep the water is, and I like to look at the structure down there. And I also like to use side imaging. It kind of lets me know what kind of terrain I'm in. But anyway, that's not the reason for the video. The reason for the video is the trolling motor. The trolling motor is where you usually place the transducer for these graphs. And what you probably noticed already is the transducer for this graph is down here, mounted on this pole. The reason why it's mounted on this pole is because there is absolutely no way you could mount a transducer here and get the wires up the pole and make it look halfway decent, and at the same time make the wires safe. A lot of people try to use a method that we use on Motor Guide trolling motors that are built this way. In other words, that don't have an alligator mount, but where the shaft slides through the control head right here, where the motor drives the direction of the motor head. On the Motor Guide ones, they don't have this latch, and so you can use a coil. You can coil the transducer wire and use a nylon style tubing that you split or slit, and you can wrap it around there, and it'll make a nice coil, and it'll just go around all this. But on this you can't do that because of this latch. It just will not work. This latch will get hung up on it. It's very sharp down in here. If you were to with this tip down, if you had any of your cable in here whatsoever, it would cut through it very easily. So what I came up with was this idea right here. And that's a transducer pole, but it's not just a regular transducer pole, it's an articulating transducer pole. And this is how you articulate it. You just simply rotate it up and drop it down in the boat, and it's out of the way. And then when you need it, you swing it down and then rotate it forward. You'll notice that it's pretty much in line with the front of the trailer there, so that you're moving in a forward direction. The articulating method, or the hinge, is made out of 3/4 inch PVC. I think it's just Schedule 40 PVC. There are short pieces of 3/4 inch in this T-fitting, 3/4 inch T-fitting, and then on the outside edges of those are these 1/4 inch carriage bolts that go down through that steel plate. That steel plate is 1/8 of an inch thick, and it could have actually been a little bit heavier. You'll notice there's a 5/16 bolt right down here, and what that does is it adds it acts as a rest stop for this, so it doesn't come down and contact the boat. And then underneath there you'll see that these are 1/4 inch nuts that go on these carriage bolts. Its whole thing is bolted to a Scotty mount, and the Scotty mount is held on to the boat in the I-track. And you can make an I-track system for any boat, so it would be easy for anybody to mount one of these. these Scotty mounts are available anywhere, but this Scotty mount here is, I removed the original hardware that's right here, and I put carriage bolts in there. The carriage bolts have a real thick head on them. You can tighten the Scotty mount down really tight so nothing moves on this thing. And then up in here, this 5/16 bolt, this is what holds it to the Scotty mount. Now you're going to notice there's only one, and the reason for that is once you get that bolted on, you can then move it by grasping this, and that way it'll change the angle of the head down there if you need it to, and then you just tighten it down really tight and it won't move after that. So the whole thing then drops down into the water, and I took the first one, I took it out and I measured the depth below the water, and then when I brought it back, I ended up taking 9 inches off, because from here to about here, about 25 inches down is the water line on this boat. Then it's in the water. So you got a little bit of this down under the water, and so it could actually be a little bit shorter. But anyway, it looks good. It is a lot better than trying to rig up wires with springs on them and all kinds of weird. People put bicycle chains that are coiled up onto these trolling motors, and then they attach them with a hook or something to the head of the trolling motor, and they're just god awful. This here, you just swing it up and swing it in, and it's out of the way. You want it back down, there's first position it would be in. There's the second position it would be in. There's the third position it would be in. And you just have to get it tight enough right in here, and use a little Teflon tape so it doesn't squeak or make a lot of noise. And you just tighten up this nut. This is 3/4 inch PVC to 3/4 inch threaded pipe, threaded PVC. This is threaded PVC here would be the female threads, and on this side here it's glue joints. And like the cap on this, I just pushed on, and I used a small screw. There's a screw head underneath this tape. I put some tape around there because I wanted it to be up against here and not make any marks or anything. I didn't want anything harsh up against there. And the wire itself just goes up underneath. There's a small opening on the side here, just naturally where the plywood's been cut that way. And then it goes underneath this small little rise in the console right here on the front of the boat. All the power wires drop down through the cup holder. There's still room for a bottle of pop you can drop in there. And it already had a hole in the bottom of it, so that's for a drain. It drains down into here and then out. There was a couple of wires in there for the graph, but if you wanted to, I was going to use a lithium battery and just put the lithium battery in here on a little piece of wood that was going to lay about right in here like this, and then bring some charge wires up out of there. There's a lot of ways you can do that. But anyway, so that's what it looks like, and I control along about maybe 3 miles an hour, and it stays vertical just like it's supposed to. Now I did add the Teflon tape to it after I had it out the first time, but it actually seems like it's going to hold up pretty good. Anyways, so for the Minn Kota Power Drive users, especially the ones that have that latching system that we've been going over, This should be an easy way for you to get a transducer on the front of your boat and not have to tear up your boat in any way, shape, or form, not have any issues with your wires. You can run these transducer wires ways. You can take these wires and you can run them internally to the pipe and bring them out through a hole there and then through a hole down here. You just have to have a big enough hole in here. It has to be about a 1-inch hole. So you might want to go to a little bigger pipe, which, you know, wouldn't be a bad thing. You could go to 1.25 PVC. I wanted to have it on the outside so that if I wanted to make any changes, I could make them quickly, which I did. And I still think it looks okay. So anyway, if that's going to be any help to you at all, it'll be. So anyway, YouTubers, that's all from Midwest Phil. That's my YouTube video for the day. I'm going to tag this thing a lot so that the Minn Kota Power Drive guys will find it if they're looking for a solution to this issue, and maybe they'll use this. I hope they do, and I hope they like it. So anyways, I'll catch you later, YouTubers. Bye-bye.